All right, Adam. When did you and I meet? It was at CrossFit Miami at your level 2, correct?
That was, what was that, about a month ago now already?
Yeah, probably a little bit longer, but a little while ago. I assume since I haven't heard from you, you passed the test.
I did. It was questionable because first time I took my level two, there was no test. And so definitely a little bit more than I expected, but yeah, it was good. Good learning experience overall, as always.
Adam was the guy at the seminar that was asking a lot of questions, but what I enjoyed about you was it was clearly coming from a good place, and I think Fern and I talk about it a lot. The other guests I've had on the show, you can get away with a lot if you're coming from a good place of whether it's understanding or just want to learn more or just curiosity, and it was very clear that that's what you were doing.
Yeah, the way I look at it is the day you think that you're an expert is the day you stop succeeding. So I always like to surround myself and talk with people that know more than me, right? I think that's what every entrepreneur tries to do, is kind of surround themselves with people who are better than they are.
Every good entrepreneur.
Every good one. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's some bad ones out there that think they know everything, but the reason I'm having you on is for exactly that reason. You really struck me as someone that was doing some good things, not just as a box owner, but specifically from a business perspective. That's what impressed me. I think we were sitting there at the end of that first day, and we were just talking about contracts, and we were talking about all sorts of really nuancy things that you were crushing at your box. So tell,
We
give,
try.
give the listeners a little bit of the ups and downs of CrossFit Northport, where you are as far as as much as you're willing to disclose financially, but membership, that kind of stuff, just so they have an understanding of your background.
Right, absolutely. So I have a background in business. I have a master's of business and administration. I kind of finished that before I dove into the CrossFit life, owning a box and doing that type of thing. I interned with a bunch of different boxes and coached at a bunch of different boxes just to kind of get a taste of things that I liked and that I didn't like and things that I may be able to improve on, right? That was a big thing for me. I wanted to create a better product. I think that's why all gym owners kind of set out and open their own gym, is because they think they can do something better, right? And that's why most businesses exist. They want to be the best, or they, want to be better than that other competitor out there. I've been in business now for about 6 years. Like any gym or any business, we have ups and downs for sure. I think a big component of maintaining a positive trend is going to be social media based posts and good advertising and that type of thing. But the biggest thing is we have fluctuations just like anybody else. So I would say right now we're sitting at around 100 members. We're in a very small area, so it's not like we have a huge demographic to pull from. I know Naples is a little bit larger than we are. I know you're up that way. And demographic wise, just household income is much higher than we are. So we're kind of like the the gym that stands out the most, just because we are the most expensive in town and we do have a contract, which is rare in our area. So
So, well, let me ask you, what is your membership?
so for an unlimited option, so for 12 months, we're at $170 a month.
And what's the
Um,
going rate? You're kind of on the outskirts of Orlando.
no, we're down south from you, or I'm sorry, up north from you, a little bit up north. So you're familiar with Sarasota?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So we're probably 15, 20 minutes south of Sarasota.
Okay, so you're not too far from me. That's right.
Yeah,
Now,
we're close.
so 175, is that would you say the average rate in your area is?
Man, I've seen, and I know I just met with a box owner up your way a couple weeks ago. I've seen from 145 a month, no contract, unlimited, to 135 a month, unlimited, no contract. And I think the guy that I met with from your way, I think who's buddies with the owner of I believe your old gym. I think that he said he was at 150, and that just blew my mind because 10 years ago when I got into CrossFit, and I started at, and you'll know this one, I started at CrossFit Estero
Oh,
many
you were
many
down
years
here.
ago. Oh
You
yeah,
lived down there. Okay, I didn't realize
yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I know a lot of guys in your area that I think we mutually have friends with. So anyway, yeah, I started there, and they were charging 150 almost 10 years ago, right? So it blows my mind the prices that I see at our local level, because there's, costs have only gone up. They haven't gone down, especially as the economy is getting better. Everything's getting more expensive. So I think it's interesting the approach that people are taking with this, because this is more of a individualized service, right? And that's kind of, that I'm buddies with Stu, and that's kind of what we discussed. Is this is more of a personal based membership, and so as prices go up, your prices should reflect that, or you're just devaluing your service,
I
right?
sold my first affiliate in 2014, and our monthly rate was 180 at the time.
Oh wow, okay,
So yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But talk to the listeners. If a box owner is listening, first of all, I want to say 100 members is still very, very good. I know a lot of boxes are like we hear of the ones with 500. We hear like those are the outliers. I always tell a
right,
box owner, if you get to 100 members, you're like, it's like you're the 1%.
right.
You know,
Yeah, and
we
Stu, sorry to interrupt you. Stu and I talked a lot about that, right? Because Jason Khalipa's model is 100 members per 1,000 square feet. That is a lot of members, and maybe in a major city. But yeah, I would say that that's tough to accomplish those higher numbers.
Yeah, and you could do like stupid box math of like 100 members times this, but really, if you have 100 members and you're running your business smart, you can make a good living. You've provided yourself and hopefully one or two other people, a solid career there. What was your process to come up with that 170?
That's a good question. That's one that everybody has. I think when I started off, it was much like a lot of box owners, right? I kind of didn't pay attention to the business knowledge that I had. I kind of looked at the surrounding market rates, and I knew I wanted to be higher. I will never be the cheapest gym in town, and that's for sure. I'll always be the most expensive. But I started kind of at that baseline at the time. So when I started, I don't know if how much you remember. I'm sure you do. Was back in let's see, we opened in 2013, and the economy was still rocky. It was just starting to come out of that recession that we had, and so I kind of just wanted to play it safe. And then from there, I just went up $5 a year annual increases to kind of get where we're at today. And that's the problem that a lot of gym owners have, is not doing annual increases because they're afraid of how their members are going to take it. But if you do it in small steps, it's no more than a cup of coffee, a day, or a week rather,
Well,
right?
no, a
So,
month really,
right.
right? If it's with $5 a month. So one thing I don't want to brush over is how important is your MBA in your success as a box owner?
That's a tough question, right? Because I don't think everyone has to get an education to be good at business. And we've seen that time and time again with some major CEOs that are uneducated. But for me personally, it's been everything for me, because it allows me to think critically on how I'm operating my business, and kind of strategize and forecast my sales and my marketing, right? And it wakes you up to the fact that this is a relationship business, but we can't forget it's a business, right? And that's what a lot of box owners forget, that we're running a business, and without the finances, this business won't be around.
Yeah, as you were saying that, it kind of made me think it almost helps you remove the personal stuff out of it and
Right.
look at it as a business where I didn't have an MBA and it was really very emotionally charged. All of my decisions were not so much, I should look at it as how do I run this business. I think in an ideal world, most box owners would have some sort of business background, but that's not always the case. And you can certainly learn as you go with, you know, things such as this episode, right? So
Right. And there's so many tools out there, so much free content that, not being educated can assist you with. There, besides the Facebook forum, I mean, that can be a dangerous place. I see you posting in there from time to time, but it can be a dangerous place, because you have a lot of people just kind of inputting their thoughts, without having any background to do it. But there's tons of good podcasts like this one, providing tons and tons of value out there for free, right?
yeah, I
And
mean, this and Stu's great. And I mean, all the people out there are putting stuff out, and like you're saying, be careful who you're listening to. I think it's like anything. The reason Stu is good is because he's done it.
right,
There's a lot of you're good because you've done it. Like you don't have to be we talk about it on a recent episode. You don't have to be the best athlete to be the best coach, but it helps if you understand what it's like to play the game.
That's right.
So let's talk about these rate increases. You do $5 a month. You increase your monthly rate by $5 every year, no, regardless of anything.
For the most part, this is the first year that we didn't do a price raise, and which is unique because we just purchased our building in November. We typically do a price raise in January of every year. What is my logic behind not raising my prices? I don't have a lot of logic behind it. It just didn't feel right, if that makes sense.
That's all right.
My gut just told me. So in business, there's something called market equilibrium, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. So
I figured it out with the two words you said.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I get it from the sounds
Right.
of it. Like you kind of put yourself where you need it to be, and if you go too far, you're gonna skew that balance, if you will.
That's right. So the market in the market aspect, there's only so much the consumer is willing to spend before it starts to have a negative effect overall on the business. Now, I don't think I'm there yet, and I don't think I'm anywhere close to it. But we made a lot of changes all at once. So I didn't want to say, oh, here we just opened a brand new facility for you guys after years and years of support, and now we're going to up you again. So I don't know. It just didn't feel right for the price raise. Now we will be doing a price raise again next year in January. So it will only be $5 though. It's not gonna go up 10.
So you like to go on just a set dollar amount versus a percentage, similar to, just cost of living.
Yeah, it's I just want it to be small enough where it doesn't hurt people, but it brings some extra revenue to the gym. So one thing that Stu kind of woke me up to, and you're gonna hear me probably mention his name a lot because he woke me up to a lot of things, and I think it's a lot of difficult changes that box owners are afraid to make. One of those is grandfathering, right? I think
I
that's
was
something.
very guilty of that. Yes, but
Yeah,
go
and
on.
and I think we all are, right? Again, that goes back to the relationship kind of aspect of it. But not only that, it's historical, right? So gyms have been doing that since the beginning of time, and it's a mistake. It's a mistake that has just continued amongst gym owner after gym owner, and it needs to stop, right? Because as the economy improves, or if it doesn't improve, right, those rates are going to change, and we need to be aware of that. And just because you're loyal to a product doesn't mean that you shouldn't have that additional price increase, right? That's a big thing. Like your cell phone bill, it's going to go up from month to month, right? Cable, it's going to change after that year contract or however long of a period you sign. It's going to change based off the economy, and I think that's a big thing we need to pay attention to. Is that so? We stop grandfathering in altogether. And we do minimal price increases based off of our membership size. $5 is really enough to kind of just help bring in some extra cash flow, just to put towards equipment and other investments into the gym. So
Yeah, let me take a second to talk about
yeah,
grandfathering. We when I opened, I believe our opening rates were $80 a month in 2007. So it's about 2011 or 12. Our rate was about 150, and I had a coaching staff, and they were still grandfathered in. And part of it was talking with Chris Cooper at the time, and part of it was my coach Kevin. He's like, I need to make more, and I was like, Kevin, look, here are the numbers, and it was his idea, and I was like, all right, you make it happen, Kevin. Like he was my full time guy. We became good friends. He made it happen, and we didn't. I tell the story. We didn't lose anybody. It was a substantial increase, but it was needed to keep the business afloat.
right. And that was a tough time for you, especially because that was back in the day when you mentioned CrossFit, you almost didn't want to talk about it because it was so hard to explain to somebody, and a lot of people didn't know what it was. And today, obviously, due to the games and, just how big it's gotten, that kind of factor is gone. So it's much easier for gyms now, or even a couple of years ago versus when you started. So,
Well, and it's understood what small group training cost is. I remember $80. I was embarrassed to tell people of the price. I was like, this is so much. I understand. And they were,
right.
but when you come 3, 4 times a week to a class of 8, it was priceless. So
Absolutely.
a couple of things I want to talk. We have, specific topics we're going to talk about are your contracts, but you every time you say something, I'm like, wait, I want to hear it. You own your building.
That's right.
So that's unique in this world.
It is, and again, not to keep referencing Stu, but he's helped me out a lot. So he kind of gave me the motivation to kind of go out and do it, right? So something unique with me, and a lot of gym owners aren't going to want to live my life, right? I have one additional coach. My wife's a coach as well. She coaches very little. We have 3 kids, right? So
We could dive into that. I mean, I work with my wife. I mean, that's but go on. Yeah.
right. So the point is I only have one additional coach. And why is that? Every dollar that I earn, I want to continue to reinvest into my facility. And there's a lot of people that, and Stu and I kind of talked about this in our last conversation, was that a lot of, you don't own a business until you can step away, which I don't necessarily agree with that, right? He says you have a job, and it is a job, but at the end of the day, when you own your assets, and you continue to invest into those assets, that's yours, right? And nobody can take that away from you. So I'd rather work myself, a lot of classes, teach all of the classes if I have to, and then continually reinvest, because it's just better for my clients. It's a better experience. And that's what we're all about doing here, is creating a great customer experience.
Well, isn't that the McDonald's model as well?
Right. They just have a lot more money than we do.
Yeah, I mean, but
Right.
but one day you'll get there, and it's like owning your own home too. You don't mind fixing the walls, putting in a new door, the garden, because you know you're investing in something that one day you'll sell, regardless of what happens to CrossFit Northport. You have an appreciating asset now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not to talk, go ahead. Sorry.
No, the other thing I was going to say is just looking at you, you've professionalized it as well. It appears like you're dressed up to coach.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. I remember when we were at the seminar that weekend.
Yeah,
I came in.
You had your
Yeah,
Lululemon shirt on.
yeah, I came in with a Lululemon polo, and we have everything embroidered in with our logo. And all of our coaches wear polos. Now there are some days, granted, that somebody didn't do their laundry and they miss a shirt or whatever. That happens, but always our CrossFit attire, always CrossFit Northport attire, because it's a business, it's a brand. If you go into an LA Fitness, you're going to see something LA Fitness related on that staff, guaranteed.
You mentioned coaches. Is your wife the only coach, or is she the only paid coach?
No. She only comes in kind of when I need her. I have one other coach that's part-time. He's kind of like my savior when I need him, if you will. So he works, let's see, 1 class a week, and then he takes our 5 a.m. Fundamentals training sessions. So he's not working full-time right now. I'd like to get him to that eventually. I'm not sure he wants to get to that point, but that would be the end goal. So I don't have a lot of staff, but it comes down to the quality of my coaching as well. Like if somebody can't produce a quality product, I'm not going to put them out there. And I feel like a lot of gyms do that. They're not as focused on the quality of their coaching or coaches, and would rather just throw somebody out there so they don't have to coach a class. And I'm not a big believer in that.
100%. I mean, how many hours do you coach a day, a week?
Do you really want to know that? So I start at 5 a.m. So we do personal training first. That's our model. I kind of took that from Stu again, right? So we do 5 sessions, all one-on-one. And I'll typically start, if my coach can't cover, around 5 a.m. Then I have a 6 a.m. class. Then I have a 7 a.m. fundamentals, an 8:40 class, and then a 10 a.m. fundamentals, and then 4, 5, 6, and 7 at night.
And you coach almost all of those, if not
pretty much all of them. Yeah, except on occasion.
In the grand spectrum of the world, I'd say you got a good job, right?
Absolutely.
But it is a lot of hours, and you can see why. That was what I was doing when I opened, and it's like first person to get to your level 1. I don't even think they had it. I was just like, you can coach, right? And then so you see where that's happening, and I think the world of CrossFit coaches are being developed, but it's still. I mean, you were at your level 2. You see what's going on.
Right.
Like you see that, yeah, you leave your level 1, and if you're not getting developed, you come back to take your level 2, and you're still a really bad coach. Right. It's not your fault. You're not working on it. It would be like trying to get your MBA and not studying, not reading a book. You're not going to pass the tests. So it's impressive that you coach so much, but we do understand why people are putting in subpar coaching, and they need to work on developing them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a part of, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have a part of our process for getting started as a coach, an internship process. And we actually have somebody going through it right now. And that 6 months doesn't guarantee you're going to coach at all. You have to work a minimum of 6 hours per week. And it starts off with just shadowing. You're not doing anything. You're not talking. You're just observing. That's it. Right. So we start them there, and then gradually they start to kind of increase in capacity in what they're doing within the class. but we start off really slow. It's a learning experience. I tell them straight up, like, look, this is not guaranteeing you a class. You're not going to get a membership discount just because you're interning. It's not going to happen. The value in this is knowledge, and a level 1 course, as good as it is, it's not going to be as valuable as this because it's hands-on training. It's a lot more hours than you're going to get from those 2 days, right? And so that's what we start off with. If they do well, and I put them through a stress test at the end where I slam a class and they have to finish on time, make all, scaling modifications needed for individuals, and have no problems, perfect finish. And so I'll put them through the ringer a little bit. But if they pass, then, we'll pay for their level 1 to kind of go into it.
And that's probably, not probably, that's really great too. If someone is actually looking to make this a career and learn, what better way than to be immersed in it exactly as you're doing. Now, the topic I really wanted to dive into, because this is, I think you and I were sitting there and I remember talking about contracts, and, I think what happened was you told me you had contracts and I was like, yeah, but anyone can break them at any time. Have you ever sued anyone? And you were like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that. A lot of boxes have contracts, and I say contracts with kind of quotes because they're not really meant to be upheld.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
so there's the contracts like you would get at your typical gym, your LA Fitness, where you can't breach this contract, and if you do, you're going to owe X amount of dollars. And a lot of boxes just kind of put it out there, and they discount all of these tiers of time. But at the end of the day, they're not going to follow up anyway. So what's the point? But you, on the other hand, have actually sued your members, or ex-members, I should say, if they try to breach the contract. So give me the whole story of this.
The whole story. Well,
Like why you started with contracts and how you got to where you are.
Right. So let's take a look at the principle behind the contract, right? If somebody signs a 12-month, let's say, agreement, they're going to receive a discount from my regular rates. So our drop-in for, say, a 1-hour class, if somebody didn't sign any contract, would be $25.
Somebody comes one time, I come into town, $25. No
$25.
No buy a t-shirt. Right. I hate that whole thing.
Oh,
People,
man.
it costs you this much to take class. Our t-shirts are extra. All right.
Right. And that's a problem that's CrossFit gyms have continued. Like we need to wake up as business owners. There's a cost to everything. And I'm not going to give you a t-shirt for free. I appreciate you coming to our gym, but you won't get a t-shirt for free.
That's going to be my snippet for this episode, just so you know. But yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it.
So you got the drop-in rate of 25. What's next?
All right. So the way I look at it is if I'm going to give you a discount, and that discount, if you look on our website, you'll kind of see it. And I think you're looking at it right now. You'll kind of see it broken down price per class, right? So you'll see as the commitment level goes up, the price of the class will reduce. And you're getting that discount. I'm devaluing my service because you're committing to 12 months, right? So a lot of people aren't going to pay our $220 a month rate for unlimited classes, which is discounted down from our drop-in rate slightly, but it's still $220 a month. We do have several people who pay that who don't want to be put into a commitment. So we're not forcing people into contracts. It's not like that's their only option is to sign a contract. That's just, if they want the best price, they're going to have to commit to it, right? So if I give somebody a discount, let's say they signed a year at 12 months, I give them a discount. Now they're getting a discounted class. If I don't enforce that, now I'm out all of that money, right? Now they've had all of those months of service. Say they had 6 months of service that was discounted, and now they default on their contracts, and now I'm out a lot more money than just the cost of the contract, right?
No, so first of all, your website's beautiful. So guys, check out CrossFitNorthport.com. I don't know if you did this yourself or.
No, I have a good graphic designer that
that
I use.
It's a very good website, and it's laid out super well as far as the pricing. So many websites in the CrossFit world. It's like we travel a lot, and I want to figure out their schedule or this. It's like impossible to figure out. Keep it simple. Now, but what you said, you're devaluing. Is that the right word there? Because you're not.
So if you're just doing a monthly rate that's at $145 without a commitment.
Well, so your month-to-month unlimited is $220.
Right, $220 a month.
If you commit to 12 months, it's 170. And maybe it's just semantics. You said, hey, I'm devaluing. I would say you're not devaluing, but you're offering
A reduced rate.
a reduced rate because they're committing to you.
Right.
No different than so many subscription websites or anything. You pay $19.99 a month, or if you commit to a year, it comes out to $12.99. But you're right. So the point being, if you tell me you're going to do a 12-month contract, 4 months in, you want to quit. Well, you've saved yourself $50 a month, $200 over that period of time.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a better way to word it there.
But the challenge is, all right, most box owners just kind of chalk it up. I mean, because that's what I said to you. I was like, all I have to do is call Chase and be like, hey, don't let these guys charge my card anymore.
Right. And it's a little bit more difficult to do that when it comes to a bank account. That's one of the other beauties of using, and we didn't really talk about that, but we use EBT, or the automatic bank withdrawal. That's
EFT.
what we use. Yeah, the EFT. We don't allow credit cards or debit cards or anything like that.
And for box owners listening, you pay less of a percentage on that as well.
That's right. Significantly less. We had almost $1,000 a month in credit card and debit card transaction fees.
So if you're listening to this, if you make that change, you just saved yourself $1,000 is not unrealistic.
Right. And, it's a scary kind of approach too, to take. And I was afraid to take it at first. And, I had some guidance there and it pushed me in the right direction, and it saved us a ton of money.
Let me guess. It was Stu.
It was Stu. Good guess.
So what was scary about that?
A lot of changes, right? So we did everything at once and we ticked a lot of people off. And sometimes you just have to be okay with that as a business. And a lot of corporations do that every single day, right? So what did we do all at once? We automatically stopped honoring grandfathering in prices, old prices. We stopped that, right? We allowed people to finish out their contract, that term they had left in their contract at that grandfathered rate, which we don't have to the way our contract's written.
No, but that's fair. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair because, they committed to that. It would be wrong for us to kind of back away from that, right? So once that was done, though, current rates would apply. We removed teachers' discounts, removed first responder discounts, got rid of all that, and military discounts.
No discounts.
Only discount we have is couples discounts. That's it. And the only reason I do that is because you have a lot of money coming out of one household, right?
Yeah,
and it's two people from one house.
What's the discount on that?
I'd have to do the math. I can tell you quickly.
Like 10%, 15% type of thing?
Right around there. Yeah, right around there. So.
It says, please inquire for information. I think that's fair. I don't think there's a right or wrong whether you want to discount LEO, firefighter, military, teachers. You can go crazy. It's like, oh, you discount teachers, but there are people, and I love teachers. My mom's a teacher. I used to offer a discount, but it's like, what about the people that are working their ass off at McDonald's that can't afford? Like, where do you draw the line?
And that's a good point you just brought up, because especially with the first responders discount, we have a lot of physicians that come to our gym, and we had physicians that were mad because they weren't getting a discount and first responders were, right? And they made a good point, right? Why are first responders getting a discount when I save people every day as well, maybe in a different way? Why am I not getting a discount? And then it gets to the point where when is like enough, right? If Starbucks, a multi-billion-dollar company, can't afford to give discounts, why can I afford to give these discounts when I'm only making six figures a year in terms of the gym? Right?
Yeah, and you were saying all these changes you made. I think to some extent it was like just ripping off the Band-Aid. Probably better than, hey, Adam, you hit us with this change 3 months ago. Now this change, here it is. Did you lose any members?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. How many did you lose?
Not a lot. So we lost
a
couple, and we lost a couple of our original members there, right? So, and the way I looked at it, so we lost about, just to kind of touch base on that, we lost about 8 or 9 members, I want to say, which was kind of disappointing because these are people that are with you from the beginning, five years or so, right? And then they decide to leave, and you kind of feel upset about it as a gym owner and these relationships you build. But at the end of the day, they didn't see the value that I brought to the table. And if they didn't see the value, I failed on my part, or B, they just didn't care about it anymore, right? They don't care about coaching. They don't care about the facility. They just want a cheap place to work out and get a sweat on, which is cool. If they want to do that, no problem, but this isn't the place for it.
That's what I was going to say. And you answered. I was going to say, well, whose fault is that? And you took the ownership, right? If they're willing to leave, it's it's mutual, right?
Right.
They need to see it, but I would guess even if you lost 9 people, you far exceeded that with what you brought in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those price increases and price changes made up for all those people that were lost. And then moving forward, it was just easy from the beginning.
Which is goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. It's like you have 100 members, but if they're all paying full price, you don't need 200 members. You don't need, you don't. It'd be nice, right? But there's a number where, all right, I need 100 people paying full price and have. We when I did my increase, it was like we had 500 members, but some were paying 80. It's like I'd rather get rid of them, have this space, so when someone new comes in willing to pay 180, it's not a problem in class sizes or equipment. I'd rather have all my members, and that's part of it as well. You're discounting people. They're all using the same equipment. They're all using the same floor space, taking the same bandwidth from me as a coach. Why are they getting a discount? You go to the movies, you get a seat. We're all paying the same thing.
That's right. Yeah, that was my biggest thing there. It's just the discounts have to stop. And I hope if anybody hears this, end the grandfathering. We need to put a stop to grandfathering. And a lot of people are like, oh, my members are going to be ticked off, or that's not right. I promised my members they'd have this for life, but enough is enough.
So did
You
I. I
did
mean,
too?
mine was they were my first people. I mean, the box wasn't even open. And I was like, if you want us to stay in business, we have to get rid of this. And I did a couple things where they can pay up front, similar to you, like ride
Right.
out their contract. It wasn't like you're going from 80 to 180, but it was, we need to make a change.
Right.
Now, go ahead.
So kind of touching back on client numbers, because I heard you talk about that. We need to be less focused with the amount of members that we have and focus more on the value of that member, right? How much money they're spending within a month. I'd much rather have 80 members and have their average client value over 300 a month than have all those other members back, for that little bit of money. And you'll tend to see that the people that are, say, in your case, paying $85 a month, they're going to be less likely to take on other services you may have, buy products you may have that are fairly pricey, right?
They're just shittier members. Let's put it easy. Like the people that want discounts are your worst members.
Right.
And I think Cooper calls it average revenue per member, your ARM. And whether it's selling supplements or in your case, probably doing more personal training, that's the goal. And the truth is, if I have 8, every additional member is just a headache, whether it's an email, whether it's in class, it's just more people to herd. Yeah. Less people paying more, the more they pay. And it's not like you're a better person, but they're a better member.
Right. Absolutely. And it's better for everyone all around.
So take me through the first time you had to actually take someone to court over a contract.
So the first time I went to court, I did it by myself, right? So that was a learning experience altogether. I filed all the paperwork, went to mediation, watched somebody cry in front of me that I already had a relationship with. And I pretty much had to tell them, like, look, I valued your membership, you being at our facility, but I also realized that I have kids, right? And by you not paying and you committing, you're taking food out of my kids' mouths. And that's just being real. I'm a small business owner. I'm not a big, 5 gyms in, type business here. I have one gym and every dollar we bring in is important. And so I tried to kind of relate emotionally on that end with the client because they were in a similar situation. But at the end of the day, she didn't want to settle. And contracts are contracts. And if you breach your contract, a lot more money is going to apply, right? Interest, attorney's fees, which at that point, then I did get an attorney, court costs, and all of the time spent on it. So it's in everybody's best interest just to kind of, settle up, right?
So do you remember what you wound up getting for that?
It was a year contract. I want to say the first one was very new into our business. So it was the first year that we opened. I set an example from the start, because you let one person go, then, you're soft. Everybody's going to think they can get out of it. So I made a statement from the beginning that this isn't going to fly. But we're very upfront too with our contracts. We tell people we don't do cancellations. We don't do buyouts. Bottom line.
Yeah. I don't for one second think this is like there's, a bunch of small fine print at the bottom. It's obvious. And because of that, it's like, so that if you don't like that, here's the 6-month option, or here's the month-to-month option.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do this.
Right. And that's something we try to be very clear about. When in doubt, do a month, right? You don't have that initial savings right off the bat, but at least you're sure, right? So, yeah, that's something I think people struggle with every once in a while, and then get into situations where they live outside their means. But we can't act as advisors for people in terms of that, right? That's on them.
And to be clear, is there, if someone had done a 12-month and they want to get out, is there a buyout fee? Is there a more easy way to end it than going to court?
Pay it all up front.
So
That's
they have
just,
to pay it.
they have to pay it. And we say that right up front. We don't allow any cancellations, zero buyouts. You are financing a membership just like you're financing a car. That's what we tell them. It's just a year versus 5, right?
And so on the flip side, if people tried to leave and been okay with it, like, hey, I accept it, I, sign this contract.
So yeah, we do have some people that they won't even really tell us they're leaving. They'll just stop showing up, and we're very good at checking in. I have a call list every week that I follow up with on people, and some people will just keep giving excuses. And those are the people who have no intentions of coming back. But we try to do our part and get them in here. But they're not going to resign, and they're honoring their agreement. So as long as they honor their agreement, I think a lot of people, we don't get as much of that now that our prices are higher as we did when they were lower, right?
And
So
at
I
the
think
end of the 12 months, do they have to re-sign or does it roll over into another year?
no, we have to resign because normally our rates would increase.
So every year you have to, sit down with somebody, and that's important as the box owner as well, because when that contract ends, you're at risk now of losing a member because it's an opportunity for them to say, no, I'm good.
That's right.
They
Yeah.
should, do you think they should do that with marriages, like a 1-year contract?
Well, I think everybody should get a prenuptial agreement if we're talking about marriages.
uh,
Um,
you
so
are
that's just the
definitely,
business
yeah,
owner in me.
that's your business owner
Right.
brain going on.
Yeah. My
So
wife wasn't too happy about that one.
she was probably like, I have more money than you. That's fine. Um, so now, how would you recommend a box owner implement something like this? How would they get started? Because if you are going to be willing to take someone to court, your contracts have to be done properly.
Absolutely. Get an attorney. No Florida statute. That's the biggest thing, or the statute of the state that you're in, right?
Right.
It's a very important thing to know. In Florida, for instance, the Department of Agriculture has to approve your contracts. You have to send them there. You have to show the terms, right? They have to be able to read through it. There's certain statute that needs to be listed verbatim, exact font, although exactly the way it's written. And without that, your contract's not valid. um, get an attorney. That's the best thing you could do. Back in the day when I started, I remember I was on the affiliate page, and I asked somebody to, hey, can you send me a copy of your contract so I could take a look? And that's what I did. And it helped me a lot. And that was kind of a basis of getting started. I later found out that there's some loopholes. We have had some people get away with not paying their membership in the past, but those have been fully closed. So it's important to talk to an attorney, right?
What are some
And
loopholes?
what did we have? So, one of the things was the state statute not being written correctly. Having more than one point of contact. So it was like, if you'd like to cancel your membership, you can either email us here or send us a letter here, and it's got to be the exact, in the state of Florida, it's got to be the exact same contact for
So
both.
something as small as that could make a contract void. I know
Yeah.
when I had my box, I had a lifetime membership, and my
Uh,
attorney was like, this is illegal, right?
yeah,
And I was like,
100%.
so I had to change the wording and get everything. I didn't even I had to get everything done where it was like we backed up. We had to put money away in escrow in case it was all crazy. But you don't think about all these things as a small business owner.
Yeah, and in the state of Florida, you're required to have a surety bond. Required. If you have contracts, and actually that's false. It depends on the amount that is required up front. So for us, because we're over, I think it's 10% of the yearly contract, we have a $375 fee for all new people who are going through their fundamentals. So it's 5 private one-on-one sessions. I ran into that issue where it was 10% because I used to not be required to have a surety bond. And somebody just got out of a contract because of that. Even though I didn't default, I had plenty of money in our bank to kind of back up their membership for the year. It didn't matter, right? It's because that was more than that 10 or 15% or whatever it is. I don't recall off the top of my head. down that's more than the contract price. So yeah, it's important to know your numbers, know your statute, talk to an attorney. That's the biggest thing I can say. And enforce. If you don't enforce, it's nothing.
Yeah, and that was my point to people. I've done some consulting, and people talk about a contract, and I'm like, "Are you going to take these people to court?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, why are you discounting your membership then?" That's my biggest gripe
Absolutely.
with it. It's not about contracts are bad. It's that if you, like you see with Adam, he's discounting his membership $50 if you sign it. So if you're going to do that, make sure you're willing. I think there's nothing wrong with what Adam's doing if anyone's listening. Some people are going to listen and be like, this guy's a dick.
Oh
He's
yeah.
not. He's a business owner. And if you're not willing to do what he's doing, you're probably not ready to be a business owner. I mean, and
That's right.
granted, there's box owners, I'm sure, listening. And I'm telling you, like, this is how your box can be successful. This is how you guarantee your box is successful in 10 years. It's, you might be doing well right now. Are you going to be one of the CrossFit affiliates thriving in 2029?
Right.
That's the key to it.
I think we need to start a new hashtag, bring back the contract. I think that's what we need. Bring back the contract.
I like it. Has anyone gone through all this and then just left you a terrible review online?
No, but here's the thing. If they leave a review and it is false, now that's a whole different lawsuit.
They're
So,
just like, this dude went to court over this. I'm not even messing with him anymore.
right. Usually if it goes to court and I mean, we always get judgment within we've only lost twice, and it was because of some bad areas in our contract that are now fixed. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to go to court, they see I'm not playing around, and that's not me trying to be a dick. Right. And I know some people listening will probably think, oh, he's a dick. Like you said, I'm a business owner and I have 3 kids, right? I want my business to be around the next 30 years. Whatever that future will be 30 years from now, I want it here and I want to continue to grow. And without this, growing is hard. If you want to go and sell your gym, you don't have a contract. You just have some numbers on a piece of paper and like, oh yeah, I'm projecting, I'm going to bring this in over the next few months. Cool. Because if I come in and I want to buy your business, I don't care what kind of numbers you have or your current members. Because if it's not locked in, it really doesn't mean much to me. Guess what I'm going to give you value on? Your equipment. That's all you're going to have, because most people don't even own buildings. So I'll buy your equipment, right? That's
100% true. People, like, I get asked all the time about how do you value your business, and if your members can leave the day after the sale, it would be very silly to buy a business.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I think box owners listening to this, there's nothing wrong with professionalizing your affiliate, whether it's you're married or whether it's you have kids or you're a single person. It's like you shouldn't feel guilty for trying to run a successful, smart business. And we do this, I think we all do it because we love it. You have an MBA, you're training people at 5 a.m. because you're passionate about helping others, but you can be both. You can enjoy helping others and also enjoy making sure your kids, are fed.
Right. And let me clear something up, right? If somebody runs into a difficult situation, we are more than willing to work with people. And I think we need to show some empathy to an extent, right? But at the end of the day, it's just how much you're going to show. So if people need some assistance, say they need to, need a month or 2 to get caught up, we'll give that, right? And we won't charge interest or any of that stuff. But it comes to the point where people just try to default. That's where it becomes a problem. If you default, if you don't let us know what's going on, we can't help you. And by that point, we're getting hit with fees for bounce checks, or what it is. And now we're going to have to pass that on to you. And now it's become more of a problem. So I think you need to have a balance for sure. I think you need to show you're willing to work with people, but don't be afraid to enforce.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because I know even when we talked at the seminar, you said there are people that have had issues, and it's not like you're suing a homeless person,
Right.
who's out on the street, can't afford your membership. Anything else? I mean, I think the 3 nuggets that we've talked about is ending the grandfathering out of memberships, switching over to an EFT versus credit card, and charging a fair amount for a drop-in fee. It doesn't have to be 25, but it has to be, this is your payment to be in this class. Anything else is additional. Any other tips you would give to an affiliate owner? And I'm sure you have I was going to say, I'm sure you have a ton, but any other good one? We'll go about what you were going to say.
Absolutely. We'll keep it short. Continuous improvement. That is the biggest practice that we can have, not only in our business, but in our lives, right? Always try to continue to improve your service to your clients. We do it all the time. I'd rather invest into my facility to create more value for my clients. That allows me to justify charging more also. But I'm always reinvesting. I'm always figuring out ways to improve. And you can do that a lot of different ways, right? With equipment that you're providing in the gym, your cleanliness, the cleanliness of your gym, which is a huge factor that people neglect. Little things like we have towel service at our gym, something small, but it's something people appreciate. Always look to create more value, especially when you're going to start increasing prices. You want to see the value there. And coaching is an important aspect. And, we pride ourselves on being good coaches, but I think every box owner does that. So you need to do something that sets you apart from your market. If you go on our website, CrossFitNorthport.com, shameless plug, you'll see that we practice that, right? We want people to come in here and be blown away with our facility, the way it looks. We want to attract people that are willing to pay for our service. So we will continue to invest, and I recommend that all gyms do the same.
Yeah, and again, we said it earlier, but it starts with your site. I mean, a lot of times that's the first thing people are going to see. Your site is crisp, it's clean, it's simple to navigate. You have a video of what your affiliate looks like, and it clearly looks clean. So a lot of nuggets on there, which is it's just awesome to see in this day and age in the affiliate world. So congrats to you.
Thank you.
I always like to ask every guest, any book you recommend?
Yes. A couple of them, actually. Psychology of Selling, great book. That book has changed my business tremendously. Being confident in selling and knowing how to relate it back to somebody, that's a very, very important thing to do in our industry, right? We're constantly selling. Sell or be sold. The premise behind that book, you're either selling or being sold to, and that's going to change your mind, in life in general, right? It's going to help you with every negotiation you do. And then the other one, what's the one I just read? Never Split the Difference.
Oh, that was a great one.
Great book. Great book. I use that with my wife. She doesn't know.
What's funny? Same thing. I listened to that on my own in the car. I think his name was Chris Voss or Rich Voss.
FBI, yeah, he was in the FBI.
Austin Malleolo mentioned that book as well when we interviewed him, and great book. I highly recommend that. And I'm sure the other ones are great as well. I just happen to have read that. Well, you have to coach like 8 more classes today. So
that's right.
I'll let you go. But I did want to ask, you seem super regimented. What are some things you do to stay so organized in your life?
So if I had, if I wasn't on my computer, I'd give you a little screenshot. I have a glass whiteboard to the left of me. It has my projected sales for the month. I have a nice check mark by it because I've fortunately accomplished it this month.
We're at the end of the month. Nice job.
We're at the end of the month, right? I always try to, every time I beat my sales goal, I increase it every month. So I think that's an important thing. Always raise your goals.
That's right? Tough.
It is
like
tough.
Beating your Fran time. Now you got to do better.
Right. But this is a lot easier. So yeah, I just have a whiteboard. I write everything on it. I have personal training sessions I've done for the month. I have a number of signups, fundamentals, nutrition signups. I have daily tasks like, do an Instagram post each day, get your programming done, follow up your calls. And then I have a lot of stuff in my calendar. It's very important to have a good scheduling system. We use Calendly for the business, and it kind of integrates. It shows any potential clients and current clients slots you have available and automatically adjusts. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Yeah, that's what we use, Calendly.
Yeah, it's a great service. Write everything down. Schedule it out in your phone. We have so much technology. We just need to use it to stay organized, and success will just follow.
Yeah, one of my mentors used to say to me, the mind is for thinking, the pen is for remembering. And, be it your phone. I mean, I use my phone as well because it's like you want to clear that bandwidth. And it could be something insignificant. I write it down just so it's like one less thing to think about. What about your own training? You find time every day?
Ooh, that's a tough question. So, not to make it too long, but so when I first started off, just like a lot of gym owners, I wanted to try to make it to the games. Yes, we all laugh and smile at that. But that's the era.
I only say that because I saw you work out. I only laugh because
Thanks, I appreciate that. So, nowadays it's not anywhere near the same. So I used to train 2 hours a day, religiously, doing competitive programming, all that type of stuff. Did not focus on my business as much as I should have, and because of that, I didn't grow the way I should have. Right. So now within, I would say, the last 2.5 years, I've shifted focus. And now I'm lucky to work out twice, maybe 3 times a week on a good week, because I'm that much more focused on my business. Instead of trying to make it to regionals, which never was going to happen for me, I needed to focus on something that was right there in front of me that I've already invested my life into, which was my business, right? So now my main focus isn't my Fran time. It's how many members did I sign up this month? Did I beat my last month's sales? And setting those goals, just like a PR, and trying to beat it every month is much more rewarding than a faster Fran time, to me at least.
Happy wife, happy life. I'm sure she's appreciative of that. And it's not as if you're not fit. You still 2 to 3 times a week. Really, at the end of the day, that's all you need.
That's all you need. I mean, emotionally, just from where I was at before and the numbers I hit before, I think that's hard for all of us, but I'm also getting older now too. So I need to realize that what's important, right? I think we all
Yeah.
do.
And I think you could probably be honest with yourself. You can probably find another hour if you really wanted to, right?
So opportunity cost, that's another little tidbit we'll throw in there. So any hour that I spend working out, and I try to make at least 3 hours a week, is an hour of lost revenue, right? So I could fill that with a personal training session.
Okay, this will be the last question though.
Yeah.
Can you take that? I mean, you could take that to the extreme.
You could.
Like, hey kids, I'll see you in a month. Daddy's got to go work, right? Like, at what point, how does a box owner, how does Adam find that balance? Where is that cutoff?
So I wouldn't say I have found that balance yet,
All
to
right.
be blatantly honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. So my wife, I would say, takes a lot of responsibility on for our kids every single day. So she works full time. She's a district manager for a big bank. Right. So she's traveling a lot. And then she picks our kids up from daycare, does all the stuff. She comes down to the gym, does a quick workout, and then she's taking care of the kids the rest of the night. So I try to shoot for one evening off a week. But when I'm busy like we are now, I don't take any time. The first vacation I've had in over 2 years was this past weekend, and it was extremely hot and a terrible idea. We went to Disney. So
that's not a vacation.
Not a vacation, especially with young kids. Do you have kids?
I don't have kids, no.
Okay. Well,
but I've been to Disney with a kid.
I'll let you borrow my kids for the weekend. You can see the experience.
Yeah, that's why you're at the box so much.
That's right. No, so yeah, finding the balance. I mean, I'm not happy with where I'm at yet. I don't know if I'll ever be happy with where I'm at, because the minute we're happy is the minute we start to fall behind, in my mind, right? So I know you've listened to Gary Vee. I'm sure you have. I like a lot of his stuff. I don't think it should always be nonstop work, but right now I'm young. I have plenty of time to not work when I'm older. So
yeah, no, I mean, hey, I love what you're saying. I think, you finding some balance would be great. But I also, hey, for 10 years when I owned my boxes, I was the same way. It cost me plenty of relationships, but I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think you're doing it right. And it's awesome to see. I hope everybody listening really benefited from this. If I were a box owner, I would have been taking notes. So I think that's some really great stuff we put out there.
Well, I appreciate you having me on here. It was a pleasure.
Just for people listening, check out the site, CrossFit Northport. What's the Instagram? At CrossFit Northport?
That's right, at CrossFit Northport.
And do you have a personal one?
Yeah, but we're not even, I don't even use that thing. So yeah, I'm pretty much on our page.
And yeah, because you have some great stuff. So they can email you right off. I think your phone number was on there as well. So if they do have specific questions, you can always reach out.
Yeah, that goes directly to me. It's a business line, but everything, goes right to me. One other thing, just want to add in there real quick. I know we're short on time. And this is kind of what happened with that box owner from your way that came down. Automize everything. Automation is key right now. It's key. If you want to run a business and you're short on staff and don't have a lot of staff like me, automation. That's where you guys need to be at. That's the best thing I think I could recommend for anyone.
Probably a lot of what you listen to, I listen to. It's eliminate, automate, delegate. And I'd say one thing to throw on top of that is too many people automate things that should be eliminated.
Right.
So eliminate, and then you should be automating everything.
Right.
Good stuff, Adam. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Maybe we can do it again sometime about a different conversation.
I'm sure we can have you on numerous times and not run out of things to talk about. We just have to find time in your day. I'd rather you work out during this hour, but that's fine.
3 hours is all I need.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. Have a good rest of the day.
You too, man. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of their day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, one more time, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast and send us any feedback you have to @besthouroftheirday on Instagram and besthouroftheirday@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email. We appreciate you. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.